Sales and Pre-Sales Mastery series. Thanks for continuing the journey with us. On the first day, we have seen about the introduction of the process, the sales process versus the pre-sales process, and what are the best practices and many other tips along the way. And today we have Kunal talking more about the lead generation and qualification. So the next step would be finding the leads, how to approach, and what are the steps that we take to convince them to get a meeting, set a meeting with them, and then how do we qualify the leads. So a few logistics before we get started. The session will be recorded and will be uploaded, so you can go and rewatch the session as necessary. And we also announced the winner of the certification voucher for the day one, and today as well we're going to have a winner for the live attendees and also for the uh, attendees who watch the recording. So if anybody is in a different time zone and not able to attend the live session, just to facilitate them, we are also giving vouchers to the people who are not able to attend, so they can go and watch the YouTube video and then answer the question asked, and then we will select the winner from those entries as well. So we will continue this journey with seven sessions until December 2nd. So each session will be 60 minutes. And if you have any questions during the session, please post them in the chat window in the Q&A section exactly. Any other non questions, any other generic discussions, you can post them in the chat. Um, all other collaboration, we are doing it on the Slack. I will be sharing all the links shortly in the chat. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Kunal. Please take it over.
Thanks, JP. So I think today, after we saw the first session with respect to in terms of navigating what is sales, what is pre-sales, I think today we'll go through with respect to lead generation and qualification, and with respect to the first call that we do typically with the prospect once the lead is in. We'll see the nuances, the process in terms of what is lead, what is lead generation, what are the type of leads, different techniques in terms of lead generation, as well as we'll also have a look at in terms of how do you qualify your leads, and post qualification in terms of certain leads they may be which you drop out. I mean, in terms of how do you do the lead nurturing process, and as well as the first call that is there. So, in terms of overall, with respect to, I think just we'll start on a light note, because leads are very important for any business that is there. And we know in terms of how much effort, how much cost, how much time that it takes with respect to collect the lead. So each lead becomes valuable. And I mean, this is just on a lighter note that we wanted to start with respect to when what happens when a person finds the lead that is there. In terms of overall, so basically, what is a lead? Uh, a lead in a sales cycle is basically any company, any prospect, any customer, or person basically who is likely to become your customer. So, who's shown interest in terms of your product, your services, and is keen on engaging with you, buying your services, buying your product. So basically, a lead is someone who has interest and is keen on engaging with respect to the services. It's the first step as a part of the sales cycle where you collect leads and then basically nurture them, target them, engage with them with respect to in terms of your business's services, and before you do the sell and the actual sell contracting that is there. Overall, with respect to these are the seven type of sales leads that are there. So you will have your cold leads, warm leads, hot leads. There are certain with respect to information qualified leads, marketing qualified, your MQL, SQL, and your PQLs, which are product qualified leads. Uh, these go across various stages. So it starts with respect to your cold leads, typically with respect to when you start targeting people, when you start promoting your services, marketing your product that is there. Those are to your cold leads. Basically, at that stage, they have not shown interest. They have not, communicated anything. They are just the ones which I mean, you target and then typically look to convert them to your warm leads that are there. Warm leads are the ones who basically have interest in your product, in your offering. They are familiar with some part of what you are providing, and basically those are the ones who have a certain interest level in terms of knowing about your product, knowing about your services, and are keen to engage further. Hot leads are one who are, I mean, say those are the warm leads, typically post the demos, post the initial discussions, move towards the hot leads where they have absolute interest in terms of what your services look like, what your product looks like, and they are typically the ones who you target first or look to target first, engage with, I mean, on a priority basis, immediate basis, because they are your quick winners or your converts in terms of which you can definitely convert them with respect to your sale that is there. Information qualified leads, these are basically in terms of ones who are searching for, so basically they are searching for answers, they are searching for a product. They are the ones who are looking at, I mean, they have a problem statement, they look to solve that problem statement with respect to looking at a product or a service. So they are the ones who are looking for in terms of a service, and they can be your basically hot prospects that are there, means from warm leads to hot leads. Your marketing qualified leads, they are basically, again, in terms of they are a part of the lower in the funnel, but they are the ones who you look to market, you look to engage with them with respect to various campaigns that you do, and in terms of overall with respect to looking to engaging to them so that they can convert to SQLs and then finally lead to sales. Your sales qualified leads are the ones basically ones, so your hot leads also can move to sales qualified leads, or the people who've seen your demos, the people who've seen your products. All of those basically they are the warm leads who've received the pitches and now are moving towards the sale, and in terms of the pricing stage or the conversion stage with respect to receiving a proposal, so on and so forth. And your last ones are your product qualified leads. These are basically, again, with respect to the closest to a sale. So they have seen with respect to in terms of your product. They've even experienced it in some aspects. And now they are the ones which have taken maybe a free trial or, in terms of taken an experience of the product and are the ones who want your product in terms of a sale and in terms of want to purchase your product that is there. Again, these are just from a perspective of overall with respect to leads. There are two three more categories of leads, and some which are categorized differently according to certain businesses, certain products. But in a nutshell, basically these are the seven type of leads that typically we have with respect to whom you engage with and look to sell your services and product that is there. Now, why do we need lead generation? So, typically, with respect to a lead generation, is a process. So, basically, we need lead generation so that uh, you can categorize and find the right customers and reach out to the right customers that are there, because you will receive, as a business, as a product seller, as a service seller, you will end up receiving a lot of leads, a lot of inquiries, a lot of people asking about your solution, so on and so forth. But is everyone going to buy? The answer is no. So therefore, you need a structured lead generation process so that you can find your right leads, your right customers, as well as you can send the right communication to the right leads that are there. So your hot leads receive the right communication in terms of your brand awareness, about your brand details. Say the leads that you want to nurture, I mean, say they may not be buying immediately, but they may be your future prospects or future buyers. You want to nurture them with respect to the right communication about your brand, send the right targeting, so on and so forth, as well as it helps in terms of overall with respect to the categorization that we spoke about. So say once you categorize in terms of your hot leads, warm leads, cold leads, it helps your sales team as well in terms of planning their strategies with respect to whom to reach out to first, who are the ones that need nurturing, who are the ones which are, say, maybe not going to buy immediately, but the ones they may buy in the future. So they may plan that, okay, out of the 100 leads, these 20 are the ones we may look to target next year at the start of the 26 that is there, instead of spending time now. And as well as overall with respect to it, also creates that brand awareness and loyalty, where they receive that right communication, they receive that right targeting and personalized communications, which we'll see further in terms of the lead nurturing stages. Then it creates that brand loyalty as well for the leads as well, so that, I mean, say they may not purchase it now, but they have that loyalty, that soft corner for the brand, and they'll come back and maybe do the purchase in future as well. So overall, what is lead generation? Lead generation is overall a process. So basically, this is a process where you collect your leads, you do a entire process of building interest with your leads with respect to your product, your services, and then converting them into a sale or a business that is there. This process is overall with respect to, in terms of where involves certain stages. So it involves typically three stages as a part of the lead generation that is there. It starts with respect to your awareness, where say you write content, you write blog post, you educate your audience towards social media. I mean, with social media, your marketing campaigns in terms of your lead nurturing campaigns that we do typically with respect to, in terms of, say, your journeys, your marketing journeys, your ad hoc email campaigns, your WhatsApp campaigns that we do. All of that will create that awareness and interest towards the brand, towards the product. uh, then we move to where you move to a, like a marketing qualified leads, where these are the ones who have been responsive to your marketing campaigns. They have engaged with you as a part of the campaigns. They've shown interest, they've asked questions, or they've at least engaged with your content. So then they become with respect to the MQLs, which you can further look to target, and they are the ones who finally will convert or are the most likely to become your customers. uh, and then your sales qualified leads, so these are the ones who are ready to take that leap, ready to take the faith towards the next step, where in terms of making a purchase, or at least say going through the demos, going through the iteration of talking about commercials, talking about in terms of implementation, talking about in terms of that, yes, we want to move towards the last stage. So those are your sales qualified leads, which are moving and more towards the last part of, I mean, the purchase cycle and the sales cycle and the decision making process. The overall outcome that we are looking at the lead generation process, basically it's with respect to looking at customer acquisition and in terms of more conversion rates. So we are looking at having more conversion rates in terms of, at the end, in terms of having more sales and more business that we can look at. So what are the strategies for lead generation? So nowadays, I mean, lead generation is diversified between your online and offline. So you have like multiple strategies which you do with respect to your online lead generation as well as offline. We'll start with respect to online. So online would be where, say, you have engaging content on the website, you have personalization capabilities on the website, you have some offer or some hook, which basically creates a hook to the person who is visiting your website, and makes them engage with you. So those are certain things, certain campaigns that you can do on the website. Your social media campaigns, so your Facebook, Meta, Insta, WhatsApp, all of, I mean, in terms of other channels like LinkedIn, uh, Twitter, all of those campaigns that you do on social media. So those also become, I mean, good sources with respect to where leads come in, leads show an interest. Google ads and your paid media campaigns, uh, the ads that we see typically on YouTube, Google, the paid media campaigns that organizations do, they also become a good source with respect to, in terms of the lead generation, collecting leads. uh, and as well as the forms, the online forms, which you can publish on social media, on your website, and on other channels as well, through which you can collect leads, and then look to target them with respect to in terms of overall your services and products that are there. When we move to offline, it's more to do with respect to uh, marketing events that companies do, organizations do. Uh, there's a lot of collaboration that happens. You meet new people, you talk about businesses, people exchange ideas, and through which they become leads. Speaking at events, speaking at conferences, uh, attending expos, having say stalls at expos where at the trade shows and expos, say maybe your company or to say showcase your product or to brand your product, you will have like a stall where say you tell about your product, people come in, people visit, people leave their cards in, they know about your product, and then they come into your websites. And in terms of other sources are with respect to referrals as well. So say uh, I may be a lead, I may not want to buy it currently, but say maybe I know a friend or I know a business colleague who wants to look for a similar service, and I know that it's a right fitment to your business that is there, so I may refer somebody. So basically, various sources and various strategies in terms of through which you can collect leads, both online and offline. Now, once the lead is generated, so once we've generated the leads through various mechanisms in terms of online and offline, what happens then? I mean, so you have the data, you have the email IDs, you have the phone numbers. You may, in certain cases, know also about a certain business problems or at least the context of a business problem. So you may know that, say, one or two lines about what that lead is looking for. I mean, from a solution perspective or from a product perspective. So what happens next? Then we come to the next stage with respect to your lead qualification that is there, where say as a seller, as a solution giver, as a product, you qualify your leads that are there. So basically, these are the ones in terms of where once you've received the leads, you categorize them into the various lead buckets that we saw, where you qualify them in terms of saying that, okay, I mean, these are the leads that are the ones that we need to target, as well as with respect to in terms of uh, you know say the qualification or putting them into the bucket so that it helps you in terms of the right targeting or the timely targeting that is there. Now, how do you do that in terms of the lead qualification process? Typically, there are two factors. One, whether the solution or the product will fulfill the need of the prospect. So, is it that the prospect is looking for that particular product or the solution? And as well as second, in terms of overall with respect to affordability and the pricing, that do they can they afford the product, can they afford the service. uh, this is again typically with respect to where the two criterias. There are various other parameters as well in terms of where say you look at the company, you look at the overall credibility in terms of how engage or how much duration can we engage for, all of those aspects that are there. But the primary factors in which the leads are qualified is with respect to these two aspects that are there. Overall, one important thing, this overall process of qualification. Uh, so, like we saw last time, I mean, you have a sales team and you have a marketing team. This process of lead qualification is a joint effort, typically, normally in organizations between marketing and sales. And basically, post which is where the sales team then, starts running after those leads, starts communicating with these leads and taking them forward with respect to the next discussions that are there. So, what is the difference? I mean, typically between your qualified leads and unqualified leads. As we saw, so your qualified leads are the ones which have a good fit for your product or service. They can afford it and they can pay for it. Unqualified, so those are the ones, I mean, they've just filled in your forms or they've given their information, but their requirement is purely completely different. Your product or your service will not fit them, and as well as overall with respect to a pricing side or say the costing side. I mean, say maybe they are not at that stage where they can afford that particular service at this stage. So those will be the ones where they will move to the unqualified leads, and the ones who you don't target, or say don't target immediately or currently, but maybe say in the future is where synergies work in, and the synergies work between, say, maybe your product and in terms of them that is there. Also, one more type of leads are unqualified leads can be. So certain times it may happen where the lead is, I mean, it's a good fit for the lead, it's a good fit with respect to overall in terms of say the pricing, etc. But as a business, you may not be able to cater them, or you may not be able to do justice to them, whatever may be the reason. I mean, say too big a product size or too big a project size, too big a requirement, and currently in terms of with respect to your current engagement, so on and so forth, or your current workload, you may not be able to manage them. So yeah, I mean, those also sometimes become unqualified leads. uh, Very rare. I mean, as we saw in the first screen, people lead comes in. I mean, we all start running in. We all have done that. So no lead is something that we want to miss out on. But yeah, I mean, those also sometimes can be unqualified leads if you don't cater to them and don't assist them with respect to the right solution or the services that are there. So, have you told a no to a lead? I mean, a just quick show of hands. I mean, would help. Has anyone here in the room told no to a lead ever? Great. I can see many show of hands in terms of yes, no, depends. I see a lot of yeses. I mean, I would definitely like to discuss with them in terms of saying that why. Because if you ask me as a, I mean, from the business side of things, I mean, I have never said no. Reason being that leads become very important, and but yeah, would definitely like to know in terms of why no, for the people who said yes. So yeah, what is the process of lead qualification? So typically, the process for lead qualification has three steps. One is with respect to in terms of the research that you do. So at the background in terms of say typically with respect to the size of the company, what is their revenue been, what are the number of employees, information around the founders or the management. Say if you have access to financial reports, just a read through of the financial reports to see in terms of how the company has been doing, how the prospect has been doing. So you do a research. Post the research, you make the first call in terms of overall, where the first call is more about establishing the connect, establishing in terms of just that conversation, just saying a hello, just finding out in terms of who the right person is in terms of looking for a solution or to talk to with respect to from the sales side. You have multiple processes. Either you do a cold call, you send them an email, send them a cold email, or say maybe nowadays channels like LinkedIn and various other mediums through which you connect to people, and you do that first call that is there, build the rapport that is there, and post which is where once you do that, you set up a call, uh, telling about your services, doing that first call that means in terms of a first actual connect in terms of presenting about your company, or that first meeting that is there, before which it moves to where you show the like POC, and you show a demo, and then take it forward from there in terms of the next steps that are there. But these are the typical three steps that companies follow with respect to in terms of qualifying a lead that is there. uh, Again, there are various frameworks that are defined in terms of the lead qualification that is there with respect to the band framework, with respect to which looks at budget, the authority, the need, and the timing. So this is more to do with respect to what is the budget that a prospect has, who is the decision maker, are you talking to the right person, how urgent is the need, is it where they are looking at something which they don't want immediately, or is it that they want that solution right away. and in how much time do they need the solution. So is it that the solution in they need the solution, urgency for the solution is there, but in terms of from, is it where they have a, say for a retail customer, typically there are cycles where, say festivals, or say maybe Christmas coming in or New Year coming in, those are cycles where retail works in really fast because people are on vacations, people are buying, there is a lot of retail shopping happening. So is it where they need the solution by then? Will we be able to implement it? So that's one mechanism with respect to where we have for qualifying a lead that is there. uh, Also in terms of medic, my apologies with respect to in terms of the band on the top as well, but this is with respect to medic. This is more in terms of where you do a deep dive with respect to what are the metrics that they are measuring, what is their profitability. You do a much more research with respect to how much money that they have. You do a more of a company research, find out the decision making process. So they have a like a structured decision making process with respect to, say, the initial team or the marketing team, then it goes to, say, the senior leadership, then from the leadership it may move to procurement, and finally the procurement will decide with respect to that, okay, whether to go ahead with respect to the product or the service or the engagement that is there. Who is your champion? So basically, who is the champion that is there? Some champion at the prospect side, at the to be client side as well, who you are able to sell, but then he or she will sell it internally in terms of your product or service, and convince the stakeholders with respect to in terms of making the decision that is there. And lastly, with respect to champ, this is again in terms of a framework where you identify with respect to what are the challenges that they have. Again, who is the decision maker in terms of at their end? Do they have that enough budget? And again, with respect to priority. Now, if you see all three of them, I mean, the overall framework is the same with respect to where what's the need, what is the priority, and whether they have the budget, and who is the right decision maker. It just in terms of certain steps are aligned in such a way where uh, it's to do with respect to fast track the processes with respect to the lead qualification, so that we can move to the next stages of nurturing, connecting with them, demo, POC, so on and so forth, and move towards the sales cycle that is there. So yeah, one question. I mean, again, should you purchase leads? I mean, uh, I'm not covering much on that, but I'll just touch base on in terms of the purchase leads. One more mechanism of generating leads. But before I touch base on that, just a quick show of hands. Should you purchase leads? I mean, what do people think? Is the answer yes, no? Got it. I can see majority of no's, but I can see yeses as well and depends as well. So yeah, this is also one source where, say, companies purchase leads in terms of from other companies. Uh, Typically, in terms of should you purchase it, uh, it's, I mean, there's no correct answer. It's a yes and a no, but typically it's no, because in terms of that's not your data that you have, that's not leads that have shown interest for your product or service. So it becomes where you will have a lot of cold calling, a lot of cold emailing to do, a lot of steps required to basically convert those leads to become your leads that are there. And therefore, I mean, to avoid that, typically it's advisable that you don't. But yeah, I mean, it's a mechanism, it's a thing that I mean, businesses do, and people do in terms of purchasing leads as well. So what is lead nurturing? Lead nurturing is mainly with respect to a process to keep your leads engaged. So, say you've received your leads, you've classified them, but say before you set up the POC, before you set up the demos, before you uh, do those steps, or even with respect to, say, the first call to I mean, the next steps of setting up a demo, calls, etc., or even with respect to the leads who, say, maybe uh, don't have an interest now. So say considering, I mean, let's take the Salesforce ecosystem. Now this is the last quarter, I mean, in terms of Salesforce, in terms of their financial year. Now typically what happens is, say you will receive a lead which says, for me it is very important as a prospect that Feb, March and April are the years where I'm looking for a product. I mean, I am not going to use the product now. So the solution fits in, everything fits in, but it's just in terms of timing where they require the product in say Feb, March, April of 26. But they, I mean, we are talking to them now. So now what do we do? Because if we disengage, I mean, that lead is lost. I mean, they will find another option, they'll start exploring other products, so on and so forth. So that's where you nurture them, where you keep them engaged. How do you keep them engaged? Various source mechanisms, your drip campaigns, your journeys, your email campaigns, any virtual events that you are doing, send them invites around them, set up meetings in between so that, you keep them engaged, you are communicating with them and they stay connected. They know about the various know-hows of what are things happening. So say any update that comes in the product, it's a good way to send it to them so that they are also aware with respect to that a product update has come in. Sending them personalized content, feeling them important, because just that they have shown interest, not have them as a part of the overall bucket or your overall standard communication that is there. Personalize your communications that are there so that they feel more engaged, they feel more, that the brand is engaging in the right way. As well as with respect to your social media campaigns, your social media connections that is there, keep on nurturing them so that, I mean, once the time comes, once they feel, I mean, they will come in with respect to, and that right sell will happen and the sale will happen. First call, this is with respect to, in terms of the first call that typically we do with respect to the cold call, or the call that we do with respect to the lead. uh, Typical scenarios in terms of what do you need to do as a first, on the first call, as a say product or a solution provider or a service provider. uh, Typically be on the listening mode. Don't try to sell on the first call itself. Just hear the prospect out, just hear them out with respect to what is it that they're looking at, what is the problem statement, um, you know have they tried any other solution or a service provider or a product that is there. A lot of times, you have a frustrated prospect because he or she has tried out various products but it's not worked out. And sometimes they went out in terms of that frustration that is there. So be on the listening mode. Don't try to sell, because the first call you try to sell, sometimes it puts off the lead, puts off that prospect, saying that, I mean, without knowing the problem statement, the person is just trying to sell. So just be a listener, hear them out, make notes, document the call. This will help you in terms of, once you go to the pre-sale stage that we spoke about, where you involve your technical teams, you involve your solution architects. So this will help you going back to them in terms of telling what the prospect told about. If you have it documented, you can, once you come back or once you're building a solution for them, or a POC, POV, which we'll see in the further sessions, it will definitely help you in terms of building the right POC, right POV that is there. So document the call, and basically keep them engaged, have a word with them, and then post with set up your second calls, third calls with respect to, in terms of a demo or a POC, POV, whatever we are trying to showcase. And try to know in terms of saying that, okay, actually the requirement is there. So the frameworks that we saw, your team need to be trained in terms of those frameworks so that they can do that right discovery that is there, in terms of saying that, is it the right lead that we have, is it the right prospect that we are running after, do they actually have a requirement, do they have a budget. So all of those things will, you will come to know on the first call itself. So first call is more of an introductory as well as like a listening mode call. No sales, no selling that we should try to do. Again, these are some of the best practices from overall, I mean, the ecosystem overall, with respect to what we have seen in the industry working, what I have seen personally with respect to during when I do pre-sales or sales. Uh, Again, but I mean, it's purely based on what we've seen. Everyone will have like a different style, a different methodology as well. But I mean, these are the things which are definitely common with respect to the first call and the overall first call that needs to be done. Now, how do you measure the success with respect to the lead generation? So, for businesses, it becomes important that not only you collect leads, generate leads, but how do you measure the success of that? So typically, these are the three, four metrics. Again, the list is where you can have multiple other metrics, but the common metrics that are there is typically with respect to your conversion rate, which you typically track in terms of how many leads you are able to convert to actual sales. You also now, I mean, nowadays or the modern technology tracks with respect to uh, how many leads are coming in and how many are becoming your, say, maybe first party leads with respect or engaged leads with respect to filling the form, interacting with your communication, so on and so forth. So that also becomes in terms of like a conversion that is there, is something that you track. Cost per lead, definitely with respect to what is the cost that you've spent in terms of to achieve the lead, uh, in terms of the marketing spend that you've done versus the lead generated. So cost per lead becomes a very important metric, and typically companies want that they reduce their cost per lead uh, to the maximum that is there. So that's something that definitely companies and track. Lead quality, as said, we receive a lot of leads, but how or which are how many are out of them the hot leads, how many are the warm leads, how is the lead quality that is there. So you will definitely measure that, track that with respect to in terms of the lead quality. And definitely finally the ROI in terms of overall with respect to the revenue generated based on the sale that happens, based on the product that is purchased. So definitely in terms of the ROI that we need to track right from the lead to the final stages that is there. uh, these are some of the best practices with respect to lead generation. uh, Target the right audience, have a process for your lead generation process, your lead collection process, your qualification process. Have even a scoring process to score your leads, and maybe then look to target them in terms of doing the right targeting. Keep them engaged, keep them nurtured, keep the brand messaging consistent. A lot of changes, a lot of dynamic messaging definitely doesn't go well with the lead, because they get confused, they feel bombarded as well. So basically have a consistent messaging, consistent frequency of messaging, the right messaging going through to the lead so that they feel that yes, they are engaged. Have a CRM tool, use a CRM tool. uh, Definitely Salesforce, but in terms of the other tools as well available in the market, but have a CRM tool for yourself. Use A/B testing, use various mechanisms in terms of design forms, engage content, your AI, Gen AI capabilities, all of those things with respect to designing the right forms, the right content that is there. And definitely track the metrics that we saw. Track those end to end, and see to it that you're measuring them and taking action basically based on the metrics that you track. Again, these are some of the best practices. Definitely, certain more, certain less, but some best practices with respect to the lead generation that is there. Yeah, I think I'll take it for questions. Any questions? Happy to take those.
I have questions. I am going to look at them. From the first one, can you tell a scenario or industry where purchasing leads is common?
So there's no specific industry. Various industries do it. So it's not one. You'll have real estate, you'll have healthcare, you'll have retail. So the calls that we receive for real estate, I mean, say in the India market, I mean, sometimes it's where you don't provide information but still you get a call. So how has that happened? That's happened via lead transfer between, say, company A to company B, or all of those scenarios that are there. So no specific industry, it's, I mean, most of the industries do it. So yeah, it's across industries that is there.
Thank you, Kunal. So, which framework is Salesforce is following as default? Any out of the box solution?
So in terms of Salesforce, from the framework side, typically these are the three frameworks Salesforce follows. Uh, Again, which is something depending on organization to organization, your product to product. I mean, say partner to partner, or even with respect to for Salesforce themselves, which industry that they are targeting to. So it depends on customer to customer as well. But typically, Salesforce is following with respect to out of the three frameworks that are there.
Awesome. We have Shreya as well. Shreya, please feel free to add any of your thoughts. And the next question: what is the difference among all the two lead frameworks?
Difference between the two lead frameworks is typically with respect to one in terms of the number of steps. So if you see, I mean, the BANT is like a four-step process with respect to more focused around in terms of budget and the decision-making capability. So it's like a shorter process that is there. Mainly, if the budget is a fitment and we have the right decision maker, I mean, you definitely look at with respect to in terms of taking that lead forward. In terms of medic, it's more of a detailed one where you do more research, you research about the company, identify a decision making process that is there. So it's a more detailed version with respect to the lead nurturing that is there. uh, and champ is also, again, I mean, say champ and bant, I mean, very like minimal difference, but it's more to do with respect to in terms of, say, the prioritization focus that is there. In terms of champ, that becomes a important criteria that is there in terms of, is the project or is the service a need right now? I mean, is it a need right now, or is it something that is a future thing? And that is something you come to know post your first discovery call or your first call that is there, once you start talking to that prospect or lead that is there.
Thank you. And would you recommend any documentation tools for while in the call to record the notes?
Documentation tools. I mean, you have your say nowadays the Google Meet AI that is there, your Google Notes, in terms of Google documents that are there, or say, so I mean, any of the, say, the documentation tools that we use with respect to typical project management. I mean, or even with respect to, I mean, say, I am more of a manual friendly way more than tech, where like my notebook to be around so that I'm noting points, or definitely making notes on a, say, Word document or a quip or something of that sort. So any documentation tool which is, I mean, easy to use and which you are comfortable with, because the focus should be more on where you will be talking, you will also at the same time make notes. So whatever tool you are comfortable with, I mean, I think you should use that.
And Kunal and JB, one thing to add here, I know all of us, rather most of us, would have been very well versed with Agent Force now, right? So I would suggest you go ahead and try even the SDR capability. I think that is going to be really helpful when we talk to some of these leads or some of these prospects, where we are doing a presentation, where we are actually discussing about the next steps, right? So it gives a very good capability where you could actually practice your pitch. You could see how well you are doing, whether it is actually making sense in terms of the negotiation stage, in terms of the planning part, all of that, right? So it gives a very good opportunity to practice your pitch out and be able to confidently present it to your customer as well. So some of these capabilities, AI based capabilities, which even Salesforce is coming up with now, are really really helpful.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And I see there's one tricky question. Shreya, you answered that already. I'm going to ask Kunal anyways to get his thoughts. So, how do we find the budget without asking out on the first call itself, or uh, how can we get more information from them?
So got it. So I think budget, that would be two ways. I mean, so more to do with respect to it's your background research that we do. So more with respect to in terms of, so it would not be that you can find the pinpoint budget, but it's more to do with respect to like from the research, from say maybe the website, the company results, that you will get a certain idea with respect to that. Okay, this is the maximum budget he or she, I mean, a company may be having. Sometimes say maybe they may be using a product. I mean, say they use a product A now, and they are shifting to Salesforce now. You know that, I mean, say product A is definitely 50% less compared to what a Salesforce pricing would be. So basis which you need to make inferences with respect to that, what the average budget would look like. And then as we move ahead, I mean, in the sales cycle or say the conversations is where you can ask a pinpointed question and get a number that is there. But initially it will just be like a guesstimating and an estimating from external factors that you will need to find the budget.
Awesome. I'm looking at the next question. It's about the A/B testing. If you want to add any points there, what is A/B testing?
So A/B testing typically is with respect to your in terms of your lead generation mechanism. So say uh, say, so from the marketing side, say once you do your campaigns, etc. Uh, which mechanism is working for you. So is it, so say sometimes it happens where you do your marketing on say, so say you are a product, or let's take Salesforce itself. I mean, you're selling Salesforce now. Salesforce, say you do an ad on LinkedIn versus you do an ad on Instagram. Now Instagram, you will just receive say a random lead that is there, whereas but LinkedIn leads are actual prospects which can become your customers. So you do a A/B testing with respect to saying that, okay, uh, which one is working? Is my LinkedIn campaign working better versus my Instagram campaign? What are the quality of leads that I'm receiving on Instagram versus say LinkedIn? So such kind of A/B testing when you're lead generating as well, that you can do typically to say check the quality of leads of which campaigns are working, or which two social media platforms are working for you, so that you can increase your spends there instead of say increasing your spends on platforms which are not working for you, or mediums which are not working for you.
Thank you. What is the most crucial stage in lead conversion to mobilize the each decision maker?
Share, you want to take that up? I mean, just that people get a different perspective.
Yep, sure. So, while we are talking about the lead conversion and the mobilization part, right? So, one thing is obviously in terms of understanding what is the again, I mean, it totally depends on how your organization handles these kind of prioritizations, right? One important part is how we generally do it in our organization is depending on the amount or the kind of tentative amount of the lead that we are talking about. We do have different ways of handling leads, right? So if we are talking about a smaller opportunity, right? When I say opportunity, it's not the opportunity within Salesforce. When we talk about the opportunity, that means this lead getting converted into the next step, right? In terms of even RFI, RFP, RFQs, whatever that we are dealing with. So basically, it totally depends on how you would want to emphasize or prioritize that particular lead. So we do have different kind of teams coming into the picture while handling and managing these leads. So if you can tell me exactly what you're looking out for managing and mobilizing the leads, then I can probably give some more details around it. But in general, what we generally do is to have these prioritizations based on what exactly are the areas of focus for this particular lead. If it is in terms of only a little bit of maybe like a staff augmentation kind of an opportunity, right? So that would not need me to have the best of my folks being involved on that, right? But if it is about a new transformation or a greenfield implementation, then in that case all of these require a different set of people working on to get that deal through the deal director, through the deal big team, all of these things. So that is how the whole process takes up. I hope that helps.
That helps. Thank you, Shreya. Kunal, I would request you to post a question for the group. This is for the certification voucher winner. So, Kunal, in the meantime, you get ready with the question. Shreya, I have one last question for the day. What are the red flags that the sales team should identify during the first call to avoid wasting resources on low potential leads?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. What we have seen generally, like obviously, big companies, or even if you talk about the smaller partners who are trying to get more traction into the market, right? We do a lot of these upfront investments, like going on creating some booth where you could showcase your capabilities, or you could have some kind of like the campaigns through LinkedIn or some other channels and all. What we've seen is not everybody would be really interested in what you are actually spending on, right? And most of the times, if you are having your booths where you are showcasing your capabilities, you could see many people who just come in for the sake of either getting some kind of swags, for example, or who are coming in for just trying to do some initial information check so that they could use it somewhere else. So while a person who's actually talking or front ending all of these discussions, that totally depends on the caliber of that person as well, to understand and be able to grasp whether this will really make sense as a next step or no. Because obviously there could be certain areas which you and your company or your competency are not good at, right? Maybe I'm talking about certain clouds that you do not work on, or there are certain requirements that you upfront feel is not the right fit for the Salesforce cloud ecosystem. So all of these things, I think this is the real time decision making that we all have to do while we are talking to these leads, while we are talking to these people who are coming in expressing interest. And obviously you have to also ensure that you are giving this information to the next in line for your team as well. So that I know there are I mean, in the bigger organizations, there are other multiple teams. So there are follow up teams which are different teams. There are people who are upfront going and doing certain checks and balances. There's a separate team for that. So you need to ensure that all of your teams are in sync while you make these kind of decisions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Shreya. Kunal, can you post the question in the chat?
Sure.
So we can pick the best answer from the responses. And before we get we have the question, a few instructions. Make sure that your answer is not one line or a single word answer. We want some detailed answers, but not to elaborate also. Apt, something very fitting. And if you already can reimburse the certification cost from your company, or you're already getting vouchers elsewhere, let's give the opportunity to the people who really need it. And the winner, we were going to announce the winner, and whoever is the winner, please reach out to me with the email ID, which is the same as the Trailblazer login profile. So the team will be sending out the vouchers that is associated with that specific email. So make sure that you're using the right email. Kunal, I will turn it over to you now.
Sure. So I think in the unqualified lead, I mean, the last one that I had showcased where there was one where due to some reason we still classified it as unqualified lead. What was the reason that we classified that as an unqualified lead?
I can see really very fast answers also, fast and great answers. So I think we can check the answers now. And Kunal, I request you to pick the best one.
Sure.
Did you find something interesting, Kunal, so far?
So I think in terms of overall, the one by Shraddha Sriram, I think that's the one that, I mean, is bang on with respect to in terms of why we classified it as unqualified leads.
Awesome. So, congratulations, Shraddha. Please reach out to me with your email ID. And everyone, we will have the vouchers for the next five sessions as well. And for if you are not able to attend the live session, you can check the recording and answer the question there also. We're going to have a different question going forward. And there are other ways that you can win the voucher. Recently, I have Gilda is also doing a certification drive. So we need to fill in a form. So whoever fills in the form with the interesting answers, they stand a chance. So I'm going to share the post that she has shared, wherein you can go and submit your details with your responses. So there are 1100 111 vouchers. So you will have a greater chance there also. And I think that is it for the day. We will continue the series with the third session on Tuesday and again on Thursday. Anything else, Kunal and Shriya?
I'm good. Thank you.
We are good. I think thank you everyone for the time and thank you for attending.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And we hope to see you again next Tuesday. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.